Hi, Suros Minahan, Talk Cosmos host, and also doing these astrological commentaries, which is called Now Chat. The Golden Globe nominations were delayed this year. The pandemic, it affected everything. And on the 3rd and I'll give you the chart here. We'll find it. Here's the bi-wheel. The chart, it was in the evening over in New York. And you can see that everything, the stellium, the Aquarius stellium is in the 5th house. The Sun, Saturn, Jupiter, Venus. And Saturn co-rules Uranus, along with Uranus for Aquarius. And then, of course, because Aquarius is in Taurus, Venus here is a real contender. Not contender, I'm thinking movies as far as a dispositor. So those are the influential planets that are really particular. And the Sun is, of course, the natural sign for Leo, and the 5th house is also the natural house of Leo, which is the stage. And here it is in the 5th house. It's not a surprise in that sense that the nominations would be finally announced at a time. This happened to be probably in New York because it was Eastern time that was given, 8:35. And it happens to be in a 5th house. I'm just a commentary. That's all I'm doing right now, is trying to look at this whole event a little bit through the eyes of astrology. So Netflix was one of the major medias that people watched. The movies with the pandemic hasn't been available. And so one of the several main has been really a major man, not Maine, but man, Mane, is catching everything. Orson Welles did Citizen Kane, 1941. And look at this whole business of us trying to go back to tradition again and again. I mean, even having the globe is like a whole tradition. And look at Saturn. Saturn is dealing so much with what is a structure, which is totally Saturn, and how are we reframing it? Right now, Mercury is in retrograde. So at this particular moment, Mercury is in retrograding and rethinking and remembering so much of the past. And Citizen Kane at one time was the most recognized movie, and which really always seemed odd because it was a long time ago. But it was about these tycoons, and Orson Welles is rather a genius. He was the one that had people jumping out of the windows way back because on the radio he made some comment that people took it literally, and they jumped out of the windows for the stock after the stock market. So at any rate, here it is. This writer, Manakit, I can't not say it really right. Pardon me. I've got it here in my notes somewhere. But the point is that it's one of the big contenders. And it is about similar times, perhaps, of having great divide between the rich and the others. So, but the other contenders here are Schitts Creek, which is on Netflix, about a family that lost again all their money and they're living the regular life. As you can see, they may have something, because on the actual event on February 28th at 5 o'clock in Beverly Hills, this is the bi-wheel on the outside, the sun is going to be in the 6th house, everyday life. Well, the other one about everyday life, and in Pisces, at that time, it's going to be shifting over to where maybe it's the victim. That's the shadow side. You're the victim of life because the forces are greater than yourself. But it's also about the movies. Pisces is Neptune is all about the movies. It's the grand illusion of life and the escapism that we find through movies. They serve a purpose. They tell a story. In a sense, it's really the books of our current age and media. When we look at this combination of all this in Aquarius that's happening, it's going to be how to elevate a new system of being. Well, the nomad land is an quite interesting semi-documentary of lives that are changing their property to wheel estate on wheels turning because they go to their jobs or meet people through living in either a RV, their car or van, something of that sort, and living part of the real nature of life. When we think of, in a way, it's like time's flipping way back, either the pioneers of the country, as it was explained, or just traveling as people have throughout the beginnings of history. It really catches our fancy, and it's a contender. The Queen is definitely one of the contenders about Queen Elizabeth. And if we look at the very fact that Saturn, that represents tradition, conjunct here still with the Sun, it would be of royalty. It would be definitely something that we would look at to say that gives us stability. And what is all that about? Our curiosity. You have to remember that Mercury here is again retrograde in Aquarius. So they're all tied in that same thinking. Like, what was established that is broken? Because Aquarius is the broken rhythm of the continuity and stability that Saturn and Capricorn represented. And how can we reframe that? So definitely the Queen has great interest for people, but along with it is the Queen's Gambit. The Gambit, the young woman that was the genius, looking at the genius side of Aquarius that is now uh, in chess, but yet of a disturbed genius, that being an orphan, and for what other purpose, that is trying to regain her stability. So that really catches our awareness too, because genius is definitely part of Aquarius. And the father, about dementia. Again, both the Sun and Saturn can represent the father in astrology. And in it may have more of importance here when the globe actually determines it on the 28th, because the Sun will have moved into Pisces, which Pisces can have forgetfulness only because it's part of the whole and it doesn't see the necessity of all the details. So it may categorize it a little differently. Um, so it'll be most interesting to see how the develop. And of course, there's a lot to do about outer space. There's and revenge. Revenge is a big theme too, with promising young women. Here you see Pluto in Capricorn is still looking to Saturn, and it is squaring Mars. No, actually trining Mars. Forgive me there. Well, this is just a commentary, and really it has everything to do about culture. Look at all this culture with the South Node, with Juno alignment, alliances. So it'll be most intriguing to find out just what happens in about 3 weeks. And do subscribe. Till so long as we hitch along to the next day. Blessings.